Let's get started with our first news. Shara is ready to fight Sean Strickland, and he has made it clear that he is not backing down from the challenge. Speaking during a Q&A in Abu Dhabi, Shara said he would be ready to face Strickland today or tomorrow if the opportunity came his way. More importantly, he believes Strickland is not the unstoppable beast that many fans make him out to be. Shara confidently claimed that his level is higher than the middleweight champions, and he wants the chance to prove it inside the Octagon. This is not the first time Shara has targeted Strickland. After his recent decision victory over Borralho, Shara once again questioned Strickland's status as a true world champion, calling him more of a domestic champion and suggesting that he would be too afraid to travel to Azerbaijan for a fight. Strickland, as expected, did not stay silent. After hearing Shara's comments, he fired back on X, reminding him that Shara had just fought his teammate. Strickland mocked the situation by saying, "There are levels to this. The rivalry is certainly getting heated, and fans would undoubtedly love to see these two fighters collide. Their contrasting styles combined with the intense trash talk could create an explosive buildup. However, the fight is unlikely to happen anytime soon." Shara is currently outside the middleweight top 15 and is only 2 fights removed from his loss to JDM. Before he can realistically challenge Strickland, he will likely need to string together a few more impressive victories and prove that he belongs among the division's elite contenders. Move on to another news. A huge UFC 331 main card fight has reportedly been revealed, and this matchup could have major implications for the lightweight division. While speculation continues to build around a potential showdown between Arman and Charles Oliveira at UFC 331, another important fight has now emerged for the Los Angeles card. According to recent reports, Renato Moicano and Brian Ortega are expected to square off at UFC 331. This matchup was actually supposed to happen earlier this year, but Ortega was forced to withdraw because of injuries. Now, it appears the UFC could finally be ready to book these two familiar opponents against each other once again. Moicano and Ortega have already shared the Octagon before. The two first met all the way back in 2017, when they were competing at featherweight. Ortega ultimately secured the victory by submitting Moicano with a guillotine choke in the 3rd round. That win helped Ortega continue his rise through the division. Just 3 fights later, he earned a title opportunity against then-champion Max Holloway. However, that night did not go his way, as Holloway stopped him by TKO due to doctor stoppage. Fast forward to 2026, and Ortega is now entering a very different stage of his career. He has not competed since August of last year, when he suffered a decision loss to Aljamain Sterling. Even more concerning, Ortega has now lost 4 of his last 5 fights. That makes this potential matchup with Moicano incredibly important. A victory could give Ortega the chance to completely reset his momentum and prove that he still belongs among the elite fighters at 155 pounds. Moicano, meanwhile, is coming off a dominant submission victory over Chris Duncan in April. He has gone 3-2 across his last 5 fights and currently sits around the top 7 of the lightweight rankings. For Moicano, this is another opportunity to strengthen his position in a stacked division. For Ortega, it could be a must-win moment to keep his lightweight ambitions alive. And with UFC 331 already generating plenty of speculation, this fight could add even more excitement to what is shaping up to be a stacked main card. Move on to another news. The UFC Paris main event has officially been revealed, and it is a huge opportunity for one of Europe's most exciting fighters. Dan Hooker is set to face new UFC signing Saladin Parnasse, with the matchup reportedly scheduled to headline the UFC Paris card on September 5th. For Parnasse, this is an absolutely massive moment. Not only will he be making his UFC debut, but he will immediately step into the spotlight as the main event fighter in front of his home crowd. That is an enormous amount of pressure for any newcomer. But it also gives Parnasse the chance to make an instant statement on the biggest stage of his career. Parnasse reacted to the announcement on X, sharing an emotional message about what this opportunity means to him. He explained that he is taking the biggest step of his career and will now fight in the UFC for the first time, with his debut coming in the main event in Paris. But what made his message especially meaningful was the way he reflected on his journey. Parnasse made it clear that he has not forgotten where he came from or the path he had to travel to reach this point. According to Parnas, this moment did not happen by chance. It came as the result of years of hard work, sacrifices, and the support of the people who have followed him throughout his career. He also expressed his pride in representing France, Morocco, and Guadeloupe on the biggest stage in the sport. Parnas emphasized that he did not reach this level alone. He thanked everyone who has supported him from the very beginning and promised to give everything he has when he finally steps inside the octagon. Now, he will have the opportunity to make his UFC debut against a highly experienced opponent in Dan Hooker. For Hooker, this is another chance to compete in a major UFC main event, while for Parnas, it is the opportunity of a lifetime. A UFC debut is already a massive moment for any fighter, but making that debut as the main event in Paris takes things to an entirely different level. With the home crowd behind him and the pressure of a massive first appearance, Parnas will have the chance to introduce himself to the UFC audience in the most memorable way possible. Move on to another news. Magomed Chanko Zainikov made his UFC debut against Damien Arzapetki, and the highly hyped prospect delivered a performance that immediately got the MMA community talking. In the opening round, Chanko accidentally poked Damien, earning a warning from the referee. But from there, the fight turned into a showcase of his unique striking style. In the second round, Chanko landed two huge elbows that visibly rocked Damien. Somehow, Damien recovered and continued fighting. Chanko then opened up with another series of brutal elbows to close out the round. The final round was more of the same. Chanko continued throwing heavy shots, mixing nasty elbows with front kicks to the face and showcasing an incredibly diverse attack. Despite Damien's toughness and ability to survive the punishment, Chanko ultimately secured a unanimous decision victory. After the fight, Chanko made it clear that he was ready for anyone, referencing his connection to the Nurmagomedov school and sending a message to Ilya's team. His performance also earned plenty of praise from the MMA community, with fighters highlighting his slick movement, excellent clinch work, and especially those short elbows. But then came the main event between Magomed Ankalaev and Bogdan Guskov. This fight was put together on short notice after Khalil Rountree withdrew because of an injury. Before the bout, one bettor reportedly placed a $7,900 wager on Guskov to win, with a potential payout of $42,300. Unfortunately, the fight itself was anything but exciting. The first 3 rounds were extremely slow, with both fighters struggling to create meaningful action. Ankalaev eventually began using his wrestling in the 4th round, taking Guskov down and controlling him on the ground for nearly 3 minutes. Guskov eventually gave up his back, but Ankalaev could not secure the choke. Still, he remained dominant and controlled the rest of the round. In the 5th, Ankalaev once again secured top position. As he landed ground strikes, the referee suddenly stepped in and stopped the fight, awarding Ankalaev a TKO victory. The ending immediately sparked criticism. Some fans joked that it was a TKO caused by referee boredom, while others called it one of the worst main events in recent memory. Ankalaev got the win, but despite the late stoppage, the performance was hardly the kind that would convince everyone he deserves an immediate title opportunity. Meanwhile, Guskov's lack of offense and unwillingness to engage became the biggest talking point of the night. Move on to another news. UFC Abu Dhabi delivered plenty of notable moments, but the event was also surrounded by some unfortunate developments and heated reactions from fighters. Before the card even got underway, Islam Dulatov was forced to withdraw from his scheduled fight after reportedly becoming seriously ill due to an infection. According to his management team, Dulatov was hospitalized and received medical treatment for several hours. Despite efforts to keep the fight on, the UFC and Dulatov's team ultimately decided that withdrawing was the right decision for his health and well-being. His team apologized to fans who were looking forward to seeing him compete and said that Dulatov's priority now is making a full recovery before returning to competition. Meanwhile, Mike Davis was clearly frustrated following his loss to Nuno Ali. Immediately after the fight, Davis posted a video criticizing the UFC and expressing his anger over what he believed was an excessive focus on wrestling. Davis claimed that his opponent spent much of the fight controlling him without doing significant damage, and he questioned why the UFC continues to release fighters with strong wrestling backgrounds. He also revealed that he had been sick throughout the week leading up to the bout. Despite feeling unwell, Davis said he still went into the fight believing he was ready to compete. He acknowledged that he lost the fight fairly, but he was extremely critical of his opponent's overall skill set. Davis later posted another statement arguing that he had been placed on preliminary cards despite coming into the matchup with a 4-fight winning streak. He also insisted that he had actively grappled and advanced during previous fights, making his frustration with the UFC even more apparent. Elsewhere on the prelims, Valter Walker picked up an impressive first-round victory by submitting Thomas Peterson with a calf slicer. But Walker's post-fight comments quickly became one of the most controversial moments of the event. Walker called out veteran referee Herb Dean and accused him of unfairly handling a previous fight involving Alex Pereira. Walker was clearly angry about the situation and claimed that he wanted to get revenge for what he believed was an unfair decision. His comments were translated after the fight, and Walker made it clear that he wanted a confrontation with Dean, even suggesting that he wanted to fight him. While the comments were clearly made in the heat of the moment, they added another layer of drama to an already eventful UFC Abu Dhabi card, which featured unexpected withdrawals, emotional fighter reactions, and plenty of controversy outside the Octagon. Move on to another news. Mike Perry versus Dillon Danis has reportedly been announced, and it looks like Perry's next fight will not be a rematch with Nate Diaz after all. Following Perry's victory over Diaz at MVP's Netflix card in May, there was plenty of speculation that the two could run it back. Diaz was unable to continue into the third round because of a cut, and after the fight, he immediately called for a rematch. MVP also appeared interested in making the rematch happen. However, that plan may now be off the table. According to a report from MMA Fighting, Mike Perry is expected to face Dillon Danis on August 29th in Orlando. The event, known as Duel Arena, is reportedly set to feature a hybrid format combining MMA, boxing, and kickboxing. The promotion is also expected to announce several influencer matchups and additional former UFC fighters competing on the card. But there is another interesting twist to this matchup. The fight is reportedly expected to take place inside a ring rather than the traditional MMA cage. For Perry, this will be another opportunity to build momentum after his victory over Diaz. Perry has become one of the biggest names in the crossover combat sports scene, and another high-profile matchup could keep him firmly in the spotlight. Danis, meanwhile, is also no stranger to crossover events. In his most recent MMA appearance, he submitted Warren Spencer at a Misfits event in August. Interestingly, Perry and Danis have actually trained together in the past. Footage of the two fighters sparring surfaced last year, meaning they are already somewhat familiar with each other's abilities. But this is not the first time their names have been connected to a potential fight. The two were reportedly open to competing against each other all the way back in 2023. Now, after years of speculation, it appears they could finally meet in an official matchup. The fight presents an intriguing clash of styles and personalities. Perry is known for his aggressive striking and willingness to engage in chaotic exchanges, while Danis has traditionally relied heavily on his grappling and submission skills. With the matchup reportedly taking place under hybrid combat sports rules, the exact format could play a huge role in determining how the fight unfolds. If the reports are accurate, Perry versus Danis could become one of the most talked about crossover fights of the summer, especially with both fighters bringing plenty of history, personality, and controversy into the matchup. Move on to another news. Dustin Poirier appears to be in much better spirits after going through a difficult situation that recently put him in the spotlight for all the wrong reasons. The former UFC lightweight champion found himself dealing with serious trouble following an incident at an airport that reportedly led to his arrest. The situation quickly attracted attention from fans and the MMA community, and it also had consequences for Poirier outside the Octagon. One of the biggest developments was the reported loss of his Bud Light sponsorship deal, adding even more frustration to an already difficult period for the veteran fighter. However, despite everything that has happened, Poirier now seems to be trying to keep a positive mindset. Recently, Poirier took to Instagram and shared a post alongside a photo of himself. The message was short, but appeared to show that he is looking forward to better days ahead. Rather than allowing the controversy to completely define him, Poirier seems to be focusing on moving forward and keeping his spirits up. That is not always easy for a high-profile athlete, especially when personal situations become public and quickly spread across social media. But Poirier has been around the fight game for a long time, and he has already experienced plenty of highs and lows throughout his career. Now, it looks like he is attempting to put the recent situation behind him and maintain a more positive outlook. For a fighter who has built his reputation on resilience inside the octagon, this could simply be another challenge to overcome outside of it. Whatever happens next, Poirier's latest post suggests that he is ready to move forward and leave the difficult moments behind him.